Welcome to Smex Ed. Class is in session.
I'm your host, Amanda King, and I'm here to teach anybody who wants to fucking listen how to have the audacity to say fuck it to societal standards and live their most authentic life. This podcast is dedicated to bringing the sexual conversations we have behind doors onto the main fucking stage. Because sex, masturbation, squirting, guess what? It is all normal. And by bringing these conversations to the forefront, we help people feel less alone in this world. We help them feel safe. We help them gain their power back. We help them step into their confidence and express themselves sexually in this world unapologetically. Because it takes fucking audacity to be your truest self. And we have a boatloads of audacity all up in this bitch. So let me ask you this. Are you ready for some epic shit?
So today's topic is going to be all about anal smacks. Anal smacks, no matter how many videos I do, no matter how much content I write on it, it is the number one thing that people ask me about. I get so many questions on a daily basis about anal smacks, and that's because in high school education, Smex Ed, we aren't ever taught a lot about anal smacks. And so there's a lot of questions surrounding it. So today, I even took notes to stay on topic for this. So today we are going to discuss a few misconceptions about anal smacks. We're going to discuss the prep work for anal smacks, and we are going to discuss kind of some tips and tricks to help prepare your body if you are a beginner. So let's just jump into it. Once again, if you are watching this and you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Unfortunately, there is a lag time when these live videos are showing. So if you answer a question, sometimes I don't see it at all until the video is over. So if you have that question, feel free to drop it in the comments. I will answer it after the video. If you're a little shy and you want to keep your, identity a secret, feel free to DM me your question and I will get to it at a later time. So let's dive into it. Misconceptions of anal smacks. The first misconception that often happens with anal smacks, and I will even say with vaginal sex, is that I try to censor myself and it's so hard. Okay. Is that if you start participating in anal smacks, all of a sudden your anus is going to stretch out and you're going to become super loose and you are never, things are going to fall out of you. You're going to crap yourself. Let's just be real here. Let's have a very real discussion on this. The fact of the matter is that is a huge freaking myth that a lot of people have put out into this world because anal sex is considered one of the more taboo sexual acts. Therefore, when people don't understand it, and it serves no real purpose besides pleasure, right? You don't procreate from there. People tend to villainize what they don't understand. So anal sex has become very, very villainized. And the one thing that they love to do when we villainize something is to make people afraid of it. And so we start putting out all of these rumors and these myths and this fear mongering in order to make people not try it. So the biggest fear mongering one is once we have anal sex, your anus becomes stretched, you become loose, things will fall out. This is not true at all. The anus is a muscle, just like the vaginal canal, which means when something is inserted into that muscle, it has the ability to expand, but when something is taken out, it has the ability to retract. So no matter how big the object is, it's going to retract back to its original shape. Now, I will say with anal sex that sometimes you will have a feeling afterwards of being loose. This feeling may last for anywhere up to a half hour, but that's because your anus muscles are being stretched out and they are slowly beginning to retract. So that feeling, that sensation is temporary, but it is a very huge misconception that the more anal sex that you have, the more that your anus is things are going to fall out. Not going to freaking happen. Don't worry about it. It's all fear mongering. The second misconception is that you can jump right into anal sex. This is no. And this is what leads so many people to not want to try anal sex, is the fact that people believe in the beginning of a sex session, you can just jump right in and you can go 0 to 100 as far as penetration goes. This is not good for anybody. Number one, you should be well prepared, meaning you should be fully aroused before participating in anal sex, especially if you are a woman. What you want to do is you want to practice some foreplay. You want to arouse yourself. You can use a toy on your smit to become more aroused to help the insertion. Insertion should be extremely slow process. It should not be jam it in there and let's see what happens. This is why so many people get hurt during anal sex. And then it's painful and they hate it and they never want to do it, which leads to our third misconception, is that anal sex is painful. It's only painful if you're doing it wrong. Point blank, it is only painful if you are doing it wrong. The second you feel pain, you should stop immediately. Now, is it uncomfortable? A little bit. Why? Because you are inserting something into a muscle that is not used for insertion. It is used to get rid of waste. So there may be a little bit uncomfortableness at first because there are two sphincters within the anal cavity. Your insertion, your toy, or your genitalia needs to actually go past those two sphincters in order for your anus to relax and accept what is being inserted in there. So while you are slowly inserting, it is going to be a little uncomfortable, not painful. So how do we prevent pain? We ensure a few things, which I'm going to go over next. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay. So fourth misconception is that during a Smex session, we can go A to V. You guys get what I'm saying? If you are going to do anal Smex during a Smex session, that is the only style of Smex that you should be having that session. You should not be jumping back and forth from cavity to cavity. Why? Easy. Bacteria. Bacteria can be transferred from the anus into the vaginal canal. We do not want that, right? Because the vaginal canal can reject some of that bacteria. It can cause yeast infections. It can cause swell. It can cause a lot of things to go wrong. So during anal Smex, if you're going to have anal Smex, that's it. No jumping back and forth. The only type of advice I would use if you want the double penetration is to use 2 different vessels in order to do this. So if you are having anal Smex and you are using your partner's body, and you want vaginal penetration as well, whoops, forgot to censor that one. If you want that as well, then I would use a toy in order to achieve that, or smitoral stimulation. I would use a toy in order to do that, and then your session is dedicated to anal Smex. Once again, we do not jump back and forth. Biggest misconception there, leads to a lot of people possibly getting sick, having infections, and then they don't want to do it anymore. So let's jump into the how-to, because I know that's really why people are here. So let's talk about number 1, the prep work you need to do before participating in anal Smex. You have had, number 1, try to have a bowel movement at least 24 hours before the session. And we're going to talk about bowel movements, even though it's not sexy, because guess what? Anal Smex, you're going to be dealing sometimes with residue. You can do all of the prep work for anal Smex that I'm about to tell you to a T. And sometimes shit happens. It's the best way to put it. So you have to be aware of that coming in. Now, if you're sitting here and you're kind of cringing, you're like, we're talking about bowel movements and Smex. That's so gross. Then don't participate in anal. Like, you have to be aware of what's going on, and you have to be educated enough to know every step of the way so that if by accident shit happens, no one's embarrassed, you're already prepared for it. So number 1, have a bowel movement before the session. The closer to the session, the better. Some people will use laxatives and or enemas in order to help speed this process up if you are someone who does not go regularly, in order to completely clean the cavity. Now, if you have typical normal bowel movements, you should be fine, but always make sure that you are never having anal Smex constipated, because once again, guess what's going to clear that constipation? And shit's going to happen. Number 2, The biggest thing that people ask, do I douche? Do I not douche? That is up to you. That is a personal preference. So if you are someone who is having regular bowel movements, you do not technically need to douche because the residue is being cleared through. However, if you want to feel extra clean, or it just makes you feel more comfortable, or you are someone who doesn't have regular bowel movements, I would highlight, you can do douching. Douching is when you typically stick a saline solution up into your anus to have it come out of that cavity and clean out the cavity. Best way to do this is either over a toilet or in the shower. Let's be real here. So that comes out into a vessel. Don't be standing in your bathroom floor and doing it, because guess what? You're going to have to clean up after yourself. So douching is a preference. There are benefits of douching. It will clean out the cavity. However, you're also clearing out really good bacteria that belongs in the anal cavity, which can, once again, if you lose that bacteria, cause some things to go awry back there. So make sure you're doing your research and deciding from there. Next thing you guys need are supplies. There are a lot of supplies that you need during anal Smex. You need a good water-based lubricant or a silicone-based lubricant, depending on whether you're using a toy or genitalia. We're going to go over that soon. Number 2, cleanup supplies. Because once again, no matter what, sometimes there is shit. So we want to make sure that we have paper towels. You have some type of towels. Wet wipes are really great to have. Plastic bags, trash bags, anything along those lines, so that if something happens, you are able to clean up the mess, throw it away, and no one's embarrassed. Why are we not embarrassed? Because we're educated and we know that this is a possibility of it happening. So that is the majority of prep work that you need to do. Now, if you are someone who has never participated in anal Smex before, remember, we are not going 0 to 100, meaning never having smenitration to all of a sudden having full smenitration. That is going to lead to you being not a very good positive experience with anal Smex. And remember, when it comes to sexual experiences, we want positivity. So if you are a beginner and you are interested in participating in anal Smex, and you were like, I want to try this with my partner, my first suggestion would be to go buy a anal training kit. You can go to the link in my profile and buy Smex toys, and just go click that link, go to anal training kit, anal training kit, and it will give you a whole bunch of them. I'm going to show you some here today, and you can get those all through the link in my bio. So we want an anal training kit, or we want anal plug set. Now these sets are designed specifically to start stretching out the anus muscles slowly, so that your body gets used to the smenitration first. And it's smaller smenitration then works its way up. Now, for example, so this is the, I would say, smallest kit that I own out of my collection. So this is a rose kit. They are tiny little butt plugs. What you want to do is you want to get a very good water-based lubricant when you are using these toys. Do you see how they change in height and girth? This is what we want. This is how we start training our bodies to take in smenitration without pain and getting comfortable with it. Now, when you're looking at kits, make sure that you look at the size difference, because each kit is completely different as far as sizes go. So when we look at that, right? So this one is much more longer than these. Like, look at the two small ones compared. So the reason these are tapered off is to help with insertion, because it mimics the genitalia. These ones are just a little bit smaller, but they do taper off on the top. So the way this works is you start with the smallest ones first. You are going to want a really great water-based lubricant. You're going to want to lubricate the toy. How much lubrication do we want? Enough to where the toy is almost slipping out of your hands. Any type of anal training kit should come with plugs at the bottom. This is why it's called a butt plug. Why do we need the plugs? Because the anus can take things in and get stuck up there. That's why we always want something with a stopper or a plug at the end that will keep this from happening. So we're never ever sticking just straight objects up our butt that don't have a plug. So we put a lot of lubricant on both of these toys. Now, when you are using it for the first time, all you're going to do is relax, preemptively warm yourself up so you're not going in cold. And then you are going to start slowly by just inserting about 1 inch to 2 inches of the toy inside of you. leaving it in there for a few seconds, pulling it out, going in, pulling out. Repeat this process about 5 times. Then we go a little further in, a little further out, a little further in, a little further out. Your first session trying this, you may not be able to go fully in. That's okay, and do not push it. We do not want you trying to jam this in here your first session, and then it's painful, and then you never want to do it again. So slow and steady wins the race when it comes to anal Smex. So slowly in, out, slowly in, out, slowly in, out. And this may take a few sessions before you can get the toy fully into your anus. If you can get the toy fully into your anus and keep it in there for about 5 to 7 minutes, you are ready to go up to the next step. And like, look, the next one is a little bit thicker and it's a little bit taller. You repeat the process with this step until you get to the final one. Now this one is going to mimic the size of a typical genitalia, right? A smenis on average is 5 inches, 5.5 to 6 inches. Like that's a nationwide, oh my God, worldwide average. There we go. Now, if you have a partner who is more well endowed than that, be aware that it may take a while until you can fully feel them inserted into you. Do not push it ever. Once again, we take this slow, we take this steady. Now, if you don't have a kit with you, you can't afford a kit, you are like, I don't know how I feel about using toys, you can use your fingers. Yep. We're going to lubricate the finger. You're going to start with one finger. You're going to lubricate the finger as well as, and I should have said this with the toys, around your anus, right? Lubricate both, and then we're going to do the same thing. A little bit in, a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out. There are different positions that you can try if you're doing this by yourself versus with a partner. If you're using a partner, the best is going to be well, kind of yourself too, is to be lying on your back so that you're able to like lift your legs up and take the toy in that way. I hope you liked that visual. That's probably going to be the most comfortable. Some people like lying on their sides and doing it that way. Some people like using suction cup bases and lowering themselves onto it. Whatever you feel the most in control with, that's the best thing to do. And you can experiment with different positions to see what feels best. But remember, we start slow, then we work our way up. This is called anal stretching. Don't know if I said that. I am now. This is called anal stretching. This is what we want to do at the beginning in order to prepare ourselves for penetration during Smex. Next, let's talk about lubricants. When it comes to anal Smex, spit is not a valid lubricant. Your natural lubrication is not a great lubrication to use. Even if you are naturally lubricated, you've aroused yourself, you're good, you're ready to go, you still need proper lubrication. So we're going to go over lubrication right now. Number 1, if you are using a toy, you never want to use a silicone-based lubricant. You only want to use water-based lubricants. These are 2 water-based lubricants that I highly recommend. Once again, you can get them in the link in my bio. These are from Too Timid. So we have a typical, like your standard water-based lubricant that has no other features. Water-based lubricants are great for toys because they are toy safe. They are, well, in general, condom safe. They have a decent shelf, like they're slippery, but they don't stain anything, and they're somewhat long lasting. I would say if you're really vigorously doing it, you probably need about a 1/4 to 2/4 size amount. It'll probably last you 10 minutes of playtime, give or take. Water-based lubricant. Next, we have tingling lubricants or warming lubricants. This one's a tingle-based, cooling and tingle-based lubricant from Too Timid as well. This is a water-based lubricant. This is just going to add a little bit of temperature play into. I love this tingle lubricant. This isn't like KY lubricants where all of a sudden it feels like Mr. Freeze is breathing on your crotch. This is a nice cooling sensation. This isn't something that's going to be like super overwhelming and powerful. So if you're looking for a tingle lubricant, I would do that one. Now, if you were using genitalia, silicone-based lubricants. Few things about silicone-based lubricants. They are sticky, icky, so they last longer, which is great for penetrative sex, especially anal. However, Some people do have reactions to silicone, so water-based is the best for sensitive skin. However, these are a lot longer lasting. They can be used for more vigorous types of Smex because of that, but they do stain. So you may end up with stuff on your clothes, stuff on your sheets that don't wash out. But this is one, if you were looking for like the slickest, slipperiest one to use, it's this. You can also use oil-based lubricants. However, I'm not a fan of oil-based lubricants because they can trap bacteria in the body. So just be aware of that. And that is all I have for you guys today. So that was just...
Thank you so much for listening to Smex Ed with Amanda. And some parting words for you today. Remember this, no matter how hard society pushes you down, no matter how many times you fall, as long as you get the fuck back up, they can never stop you. You are unfuckable with. You will win. Don't allow this world to dictate how you show up in it. Don't allow society to make you bend the knee. Instead, make them bend theirs. And don't forget, if you like what you heard, go on to iTunes and Spotify and leave your girl a review. Until next time, my beautiful people.